back, everybody, to another video. Thank you for clicking on today's project. Very much appreciate it. If you didn't notice already, we are getting back to the hats, at least for this video, and it's gonna be a really good one. First of all, here's the hat. I did not do this. They bought it like this. It's a new era hat. It also has this real nice floral design on the left side and a dove on the right side here. Now there's two interesting things about today's project. One is that we're adding text to the side of the LA. So there's gonna be text running this way and on the other side of LA as well. Not only that, they are small letters and they're gonna be 3D puff. I'll show you the reference photo on the computer in just a moment, but it pretty much is a Spanish phrase that reads "saca la bolsita." Now if you don't know what that is, good for you. But either way, here's the plan for today. We're gonna be running this through our usual order. We're gonna digitize for 3D puff. We're gonna run a flat sample with puff to get a real good idea. And then maybe, I'm still not sure, do a practice hat first before we do the official one. So let's get into digitizing. We are gonna be using Old English font that comes in Hatch 2. So at least we don't have to manually digitize the letters, but we do have to change the properties to make sure that they'll stitch out correctly for the 3D puff. Before we get started, I do want to have a bit of an idea of how big we're gonna do this. So I'm gonna measure this real quick. I think the first word might be right underneath 2 inches, and maybe the second word, which is a little bit longer, will be the full 2 inches. Here we have it. Here is the image, blurry as can be, but either way, good enough, just because it gives me the info that I need, which is just that it's 3D puff and it's Old English. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up this LA that I downloaded and make this the same height as the LA here, which is maybe 2.1 around there. So let's make this 2.1 in height, inches, and now we'll work around this thing here. The first thing we need to do, go to lettering, find Old English from the drop down list right here. We have this word here, and let's make it black so it looks a little bit better. So I was saying maybe the second word will be 2 inches in width. So something like this. Let me pull back the image. I want to see how close the letters are, which are almost about to touch. Right here, they are very spaced out. So let's go ahead and bring these in. It doesn't look like they actually touch, but they are really close to each other. Okay, I like it. This is 2.7. I had said it'll be about 2. I mean, that's really small. Let's see, 2.1. I'm gonna delete that one and just copy and paste this one so it keeps the same spacing. Oh, it didn't do that, but don't matter. Okay. I'll tweak the size and everything, but what we also want to make sure is that they're both level when it comes to the height. So let's go ahead and position the Y just like that, and just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this, honestly, because I don't know if it's actually helping me. Second thing we have to do now that they are level is that these words are actually gonna be somewhere around here when we're actually embroidering it. It's kind of like on the side of this part of the L. And I'm really gonna be going one at a time. I'm not gonna try to position both perfectly, so I'm gonna run them both separately. And what I want to do here, which is very important, go to auto start and end, and I'm gonna put user defined and start it in the middle all the way to the right. So now it's here. Now I'll know where to place it next to the LA, and then when I'm doing the other word, I'm gonna have it on the left side in the middle, and I'll know how much to space it on the other side of LA. This is really tiny, so we're gonna just wait and see how it comes out. The third thing we have to do is remove the underlay. Well, it's so small that it already has just the center run. instead of zigzags, edge runs. So we're gonna try our luck, and hopefully we get lucky and it works like that right off the bat. I'm gonna go ahead and change this to metric, because this, the fill, we're gonna go ahead and auto space. We're gonna bring this way down. Actually, not, I don't think we're gonna go that dense, just because the letter is so tiny. It's gonna be white thread with white puff, so even if there's puff sticking out, it's gonna be really easy to push in and clean up. We'll leave it here 0.20 millimeters. I'm gonna change that back to US, and I think this one would be ready to go. So I'm gonna do a new one, and in this one I'll copy and paste, center that, and again we're gonna do auto start and end, but this time left middle, just like that. I left the other one at 20. Make sure we have center run there, and technically we should be good. So here we have the two words that we're adding. This word that's going to be on the left side with the start and stop to the right, and the word on the right that has the start and stop on the left. And if we measure it correctly, we should have equal space on the end of the L over here and over here, and the rest should just look really good. Let's load this up to the USB and run the practice. I just remembered I switched it to the cap frame, so now I got to change it back to the arms to run that test. I have a sheet of tearaway folded up, so 2 sheets of tearaway for this practice run. For this test, I'm gonna run black thread with this black puff just to make it easier to see how it comes out. I went and put the second one already just to get it done. And here we are. Let's go ahead and remove this puff right here. Amazing that I had 0 thread breaks. No issues. But it does look really tiny. Okay, here's the plan. This, I was gonna cut it out. I don't want to waste it though. I could already tell it's way too small, which is good because there was a lot of foam getting stuck in these tiny little places. So I am gonna make it bigger. I'm gonna run it now as a flat. Now that I see that it embroiders pretty well, I'm gonna do it as a flat. I'm gonna do both just a little bit bigger, and I am gonna put the density up a little bit more. Now that I'm gonna make it bigger, I might have more issues because I was already noticing that there are some areas where there was a lot of puff sticking out. So let's go make those changes real quick. I'm just gonna be holding onto the camera. Hopefully you guys can see, but I'll be doing the same thing for both the first word and the second word. First thing, we're gonna go to our fill. We're gonna add, let's go to 18, 0.18. I'll do the same here. And then we'll start with this word. This, I had it at 2.1 inches, right? Now we're gonna go 2.3. And the start and stop moves. Well, it doesn't move, but the word got bigger, so I have to make sure I reset that. And now it's over here. And to this word, I will be adding, it's same thing. So instead of 1.4, it's gonna be 1.6. Just like that. Same here. Reset that. And we're good to retry. You know, this wouldn't be a TK Stitch video if I didn't have some kind of audio issue. I forgot to turn on the mic for these clips, but all I was saying was that I was happy with the design. with the size of it, and I was ready to cut it out so I could place it on top of the hat finally and see how it's gonna actually look. I think I also said I was gonna put the density up a little bit more because there was still foam sticking out of the dot on that eye right there. But everything looked good when I placed it on top of the hat, so thought we were ready to go. I'm actually not gonna change the density. I'm gonna leave it as is so you guys will see exactly how it comes out with the settings that we are working with. Now let's take these arms off and put the cap back on there. Once the cap frame is back on, I just have to make sure that we change from tubular to cap on the machine. I was gonna run a practice hat, but I'm feeling pretty good about it, so let's do the damn thing. I'm also gonna be using 2.5 tearaway stabilizer. I'm not embroidering over the seam, so I think safe bet, just add it on there. Make sure we have the middle of the seam lined up with the red line over here, and we hoop this as tight as possible. The teeth digging right in there so it doesn't move or shift. Here comes the tricky part, somewhat tricky part. So the first word here, saka, is gonna be from the top of the end here and above. So I have to put the midpoint somewhere up here. Let's try to do that right now. Let's load that up once again. Okay, let's get it pretty close to it. Now when I run the trace, the needle should not go lower than right here. If it's possible to see through the screen. That's a little bit too low. Let's drop the hat. Trace. That looks pretty good to me. Okay. That looks alright. Not much else to do. I did my trace. I think that's okay. On second thought, I am gonna lower it a little bit. I wouldn't want the word to be way high up here on this part. I think that'll kind of ruin the whole thing. So I did drop it just a little bit lower, but I'm gonna get the foam. Got my foam here. I think it begins on the other side though, so let me forward it just so it doesn't catch me off guard. Okay, I'm gonna run this real slow. Right now I'm holding the button so it goes kind of stitch by stitch just to hold it down, and I let it go. First part done without a hitch. Now the important part here on getting the second one on the other side is that when I load it up, it's gonna be at the same height as this one, so I definitely do not want to move the hat up and down anymore. It is already set to the same height as this. All I have to worry about is getting it the same distance away from the LA, which that's just gonna be straight up guesswork. I guess I could use a ruler. That'd be lame. Can't be lame. I do want to get it closer because it's reaching way out here. which I did not necessarily want. Good old nail technique. I mean, yeah, that's as close as we could get to match the other side. Okay, we're gonna have to do it. Not too happy about that size, so instead of going back into hatch, I'm just gonna go ahead and click this button here, and we're gonna bring it down to, let's say, 93% of the original size. So that's gonna make it smaller. Load that back up. Okay, I think that's good. I'm good with that. There's still space between getting to the end of the stitching there. All right, let's get the foam on there. Again, just gonna fast forward to where it actually begins, just right here. Hold the green button. Once I know it's caught on good, let it go. And watch her fly. And as always, guys, if you enjoy all things embroidery, that's what we're about here in this channel. So if you sub, that's what you'll be seeing. So go ahead and hit that sub and like button. Thank you, guys. All right, now let's rip off this foam right here. Just gonna take off all the big pieces, well, and the small pieces too. After that, we poke in anything that's sticking out and then hit it with the heat gun. Here we have it. This one did get smaller because I shrunk everything, but I think it's still better than having it pretty much reach all the way over here. So let's hit it with the heat gun and get it really cleaned up. Of course, we also hit it with the lighter. I did cut some threads that were sticking out or looping, so this will take care of that. Here it is, everybody. Final product. Really happy with the way they came out. Having such tiny letters, I think the 3D puff came out really good. There are definitely some areas inside the letter where the puff did not stand a chance and it just got flattened out. Those parts just ended up being pretty much regular embroidery right in that B. I don't know if you could tell. And yeah, glad that we didn't mess up the hat. It is not perfect. When I did the second word smaller, obviously it shrunk in height as well. What I wish I would have done was also lower it a little bit, because now it's a little higher than the other word. Not much, but just a touch. An important thing to note though when digitizing for puff is that I kind of just got lucky, or there's some fonts that just kind of work easier with 3D puff, such as this one. So I didn't have to do any caps. Even some letters where some points end up open with a little bit of foam sticking out, the letters were small enough that I could just poke it in. Once I hit it with the flame, it closed up and the puff didn't come out any further. So it's not always just put up the density to anything and that's it. It's 3D puff ready. If you want to know exactly what I'm talking about and examples where you do have to take an extra step in adding a cap to end of letters in order for the puff to stay stuck in there, I'll link a video right up here where we worked on some hats where we had to do that. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy today's little hat project. If you did, go ahead, drop the like and sub to the channel. That's it for me. Deuces.